How many of those do you show, and how many others do you have that you don't put up behind? Oh, okay. There we go.
We got a couple. I have a few behind the computer. I can't quite spin this around, but
that's okay.
We just added a few, right? I was down at UTRGV over the weekend, had to get the Vaqueros pennant back there. Got the Westminster pennant in the back corner. That's who won the first Extra Points Bowl. I'm running out of room, but I'm trying to grab them where I can.
I remember the days. I still have some pennants from back when I was a kid, like the All-Star game in Washington, D.C. I think that was in 1969, and it's like it doesn't even have anything left in the pennant. You know what I mean? It's still felt, but it's awesome. So we were going to have Travis Bush on the show. This is after we had also contacted you for today. He was going to join us, but they're having that drive around the Houston area to Prairie View, and they just weren't sure about the timing. Sure. So how much fun was that? Was it better than you thought what they've set up? And is this going to be something that they're going to be able to continue on and move forward?
So I do want to talk about the football component of it. We wrote a couple of stories. I will say this. I had a wonderful time with fellas. I have never been that hot in my life. I don't think I can quote the term that the fans and the tailgate used for the RGV in late August. It's not, it's not family appropriate. I think temperature wise, it's the first game I've ever covered where I went out to the tailgate lots at 2:30 and I brought a change of clothes with me because I was going to sweat through everything so much by 6 o'clock. So I wouldn't, I could still be, big friends in the press box and everything. But if you can set that aside, I came away feeling really bullish about the future of that program. The not just the financial infrastructure, but I think the corporate and financial and complete alignment and things they're doing to support that program are better than a lot of other FCS schools and even some FBS schools that have been doing this for a long time. This is not nothing that you guys don't already know, but for us dumb Midwesterners up here in my neck of the woods, I don't think a lot of Americans recognize how many dang people live in South Texas and how many people love football. We'll send 10,000 people to a high school game. That there's a lot of people in Mexico that really love football, that are watching the Dallas Cowboys, that are watching Monterey Tech, that have been involved in a long time. And they just didn't have any opportunities to really see it in person. Like I've never been to a tailgate that was full where I talked to so many people. They're like, yeah, man, I've never been to a college football game before. I've been going to high school football games all my life. I've seen the Cowboys a couple of times, but the closest team to them is A&M Kingsville, and that's 100 miles away. Mm-hmm. That's not something that a lot of people are doing. So I think if you have that kind of talent, that kind of corporate backing, that kind of dedicated fan support, and that kind of unique pride in this area, they've already done the hard part, which is to get people to care about you. I think they can be good pretty quickly.
So is this a good or bad time to do what they're doing?
The best time to do it is for all of these things is probably 40 years ago. And for most schools, I would say you probably shouldn't start a football team now, right? I think we can look at the schools that have started football teams since 2000. Most of them have not been terribly successful. I would consider Coastal Carolina successful, maybe South Alabama successful, but Georgia State or Charlotte or Old Dominion or Florida International, like most of them, I think have really struggled. But UTRGV has some both demographic, financial, administrative not challenges, but I think advantages compared to all of those. That I would expect this to be a team that's in the playoff in 4 years, and given the university's decisions, like we got to do a med school first. Our school's really only been in existence for like 12 years. It's not like we could have done this in the 70s when it was Pan-American. For most people, I'd say don't do it. For these guys, I think this actually is a good decision.
Matt, there's a story in the last 24 hours that has caused a lot of chaos, and you've been reporting about it on your timeline over the college basketball video game. And there's a lot of details here that I think are lost in translation or are still missing that we don't quite know yet. But the gist of it is EA Sports is not going to have a college basketball video game. 2K is going to, but it's going to be like a ramp up process based on your reporting where there's going to be a little bit of a crossover into the NBA game. And then eventually a game that's a college basketball game, right? But I know there are a ton of questions, but there's going to be some college basketball video games to be played. It's just not going to be EA Sports, and for 2K, it's going to be kind of a process. Is that the bare bones basics of that story yesterday?
Yeah, that's about right. And the good news is, and 2K has been kind of slow playing this a little bit, and hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying this, but like NBA 2K26, that video game came out today, right? Or a couple of days earlier if you were on the advanced, paid extra for it. That game will have college basketball players and college teams in it this year. It won't today. I'm told you'll be able to expect that kind of activation around mid to late February as we ramp into March Madness. But it'll happen then. I mean, you'll have a more extensive downloadable content, kind of like a tournament mode involving a little over 100 teams for next year's release. 2K and EA, honestly, are wanting to be more conservative because nobody really knows what the consumer demand is for a standalone college basketball game, right? The college football games, pre-Ed O'Bannon in 2011, 12, 13, those were all very strong sellers commercially. Millions of people bought those games every year. That wasn't the case for college basketball, and EA and 2K suspended their college basketball games before the licensing issue became critical, simply because they weren't moving enough units. Now it's been a decade. The video game market is very different. The ability to make money through live services and the video games, sports games that last longer than a year, that's all possible. But I think what 2K really wants to do is like, let's do something that we know we can execute, and let's see how consumers respond. I know that a lot of people online are very upset because if you play a college basketball game because you want to play a Stephen F. Austin and turn them into a Duke recruiting juggernaut full of NBA guys, that's not something you're going to be able to do in 2K next year. And quite frankly, I'm not sure if you're ever going to be able to do it. So I can understand that disappointment.
How much of the disappointment is that everyone got so excited about what happened with football coming back, so they just thought this was next, and next thing you know, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about this before. Since I started writing about the development of the first college football game way back in like 2022, one of the most consistent questions I would get from fans and consumers is, when are they doing basketball? And I would always tell them, like, football needs to do extremely well commercially to get anyone to even think about doing it because it's a niche product. Well, football did really well commercially, so now people are revisiting it. What I can tell you, based on the best information that I have, when EA put out that tweet in like late July, early August about March Madness coming back, that was just as much in response to me as it was about their own internal messaging. Like, there were a lot of people at EA that didn't know they were doing a basketball game. They had not been quietly developing a basketball engine or basketball software for the last 12 months. Like the project hadn't really started. And then I think in retrospect, that messaging turned out to be premature as they ended up losing out the battle of licensing here. And so I understand why people are frustrated. Like, my counterpoint would be, for as good as the college football game is, and as good a job as EA does with other sports games, like I, for one, actually like their hockey games, and I think the soccer game's still pretty decent. They have not been good at making basketball games, NBA or college, in a long time. And it's going to take them a long time to get good at that. So maybe this isn't the worst thing in the world.
I don't want to get too in the weeds because I know there's a lot that you don't know at this point. But one of the biggest, I guess, hand-wringing kind of responses I saw was like, they used to include everybody, and now it's only going to be about the blue bloods, or it's only going to be about 100 programs. Do you have any insight whatsoever on kind of what the plan is there? Is it going to be more geared towards the top 100? And if you're a fan of Team 275, like, I'm sorry for you, you're just not going to be in this game.
The expectation I would set, at least for the first year of release, is, yeah, if you're a fan, I'm looking at the pennants behind me. If you're a Dartmouth or a Sacred Heart, or like a Brown fan, you're probably going to be out of luck for this first game. If you're a fan of a team in the P4 League or the Big East or a high-level team from the Pac-12 or the American, I think your chances here are pretty good. What I have heard from people with knowledge of this game's development process is part of the reason they don't want to include everybody is because what 2K wants to do is like do a facial scan of every single player at all 100 of these schools and do the exact same level of detail that they do for the NBA, for recreating people's arena as close as possible, getting everyone's like, not an AI rendition of what someone's face looks like, but an actual scan. And if you show up at trucks on campus or at the Portsmouth Invitational or at a couple of these like major, off-season recruiting events, you can get a lot of those guys, especially if you're like looking at mostly top 400, top 500 kind of players. It gets harder to do that for the bottom end of the Big West and the Southland. At least in the beginning. When you look at teams, I mean, certainly they never did that in 2007, 2008. The hardware didn't allow it. And when you look at games that have a huge number of teams, like EA Sports College Football, like EA Sports FC, they're not putting in the exact copy of every stadium. They're not doing a face scan of every single guy in Brazilian Series B soccer or in the Turkish league for EA Sports. It's not because they're lazy. It's just like that's not logistically feasible under this development timeline. Now, could things change? Sure. It's September 5th. We're a long way from the finish line for any of these things, but that's what has been relayed to me so far.
Matt, on the bowl game that you did, and your announcement back earlier, about a month ago, that you're going to do it again.
Yeah.
You have so much on your plate, and you're involved in a lot of things, and then just covering sports too. But how much behind the scenes do you hire somebody to run that event? Is that how busy is that to-do list?
Well, the to-do list is definitely very busy. I think we're all in the same boat here, whether it's you or me or Mac Rhodes or anyone else. We are blessed to be working in this business during interesting times. So there's always something going on. We are really fortunate for the bowl game that, at Extra Points, we're not expected to do the major blocking and tackling for the event. We have awesome partners with Visit Canton. We have awesome partners with the NFL Hall of Fame. Our 4 conference partners and open doors for this event have been really helpful. So we're involved, and I do need to spend time on this about every week, but it's not a 30-hour week commitment for us right now. The biggest thing that we do is cut the check, bring the microphone, and find ways to connect other resources to these athletes to make it the best experience. But yeah, we run 2 newsletters at this point. We're in software development for Extra Points Library and for Athletic Director Simulator. I do some travel. We're trying to break news. It is a lot. I'm lucky that we have the resources where it's not just me. We have a couple of employees full-time at Extra Points and a few other part-time people. But Lord knows I'm definitely busy all the time.
Had you ever been to Canton, where they have Tom Benson Stadium? You ever been there before you sponsored? You're in Chicago, so it's not like that's not just around the corner.
It's funny. I live in Chicago, but I grew up in Ohio. I went to Ohio State. I'm from Lincoln County. But the crazy thing is, I've covered high school games in that part of the state. I had never actually been inside the Hall of Fame until last year. As part of this program, all of the participating teams get a private tour of the NFL Hall of Fame the day before. And we were able to be a part of that tour with them. And I think that's kind of a cool moment given the schools that we're working with, where so many of them are from Western Pennsylvania. They're from Northeastern Ohio. And that's really the lifeblood of the historical home of professional football in this country. Not just Canton. You're looking at guys in the 20s and 30s that are from their hometowns, that are from down the street from their campuses. And I think that's one of the most cool parts of this bowl game experience.
I've been there once, and it was in 1991 when Earl Campbell, I was broadcasted in Tyler, of course, was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I did my show with a little telefax machine and an analog phone line.
Yeah.
And it was just marvelous. Absolutely incredible.
And I think they've done such a good job since then. Like I've been to a couple of the other professional sports Hall of Fames and some other areas. Tom Benson Stadium is wonderful. It would be a first class FCS facility. It's better than some FBS facilities I've been to, from luxury boxes to amenities to sightlines and everything. The Hall of Fame itself is modern and updated. If you're a history dork, being able to go in there and look at all the Super Bowl rings from like the 1960s up until now, where you need like a crane to go pick them up, to see all the jackets and to be connected to everything. I think that's special. One of the things that was really important to us when we decided to get involved with this bowl game, and it's been a guiding principle as we've turned down some opportunities to be involved in, I think, other kind of multi-team events or third-party events, is we want whatever it is to be something that's really additive and special for the athletes. It's cool to go to Vegas or the beach for a couple of days and play a couple of high-level college baseball teams. But I don't know if that's necessarily super special if there's 8 other things that are doing that. Like right now, I think the Extra Points Bowl, and the rest of the Open Doors Bowl series. That's like the Fiesta Bowl of Division III, because you compare, I think, what you get there versus what you see for some of the other bowl games, which are just on campus or at a high school field and just kind of get off the bus and play. It's great to play again. We want to be able to do something different, and we're constantly looking for ways to do that for other sports.
We had Zach Barnett on, and my last question for you
Sure.
From footballscoop.com.
Sure, I know Zach.
And I brought up the Northwestern president resigning because of the Pat Fitzgerald firing and the investigation and all of that. You're tied into a lot of what happens through the administrations and much more.
Yeah.
I asked this question to Zach. I want to get your feedback. How could that have gone so wrong?
Well, I think what's important for all of us with the Northwestern situation specifically is to not attribute the Pat Fitzgerald firing and the fallout from that as the primary reason for President Schill resigning. It was unquestionably a factor. It definitely alienated some key donors. I think we can look back and think like, boy, this investigation was rushed. This was the guy that didn't have all, it happened right a couple of weeks, really. I think after the president got to campus, didn't really have any political capital or built with people there. But over the last year, you've also had more postdoc students at Northwestern graduating. You have the university facing a very uncertain financial future after losing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in federal grants. You have some adversarial challenges here with the city of Evanston, with Chicagoland in general. There's a lot of academic and political reasons why this guy is losing his job that have nothing to do with football. Football is just one of those things. What I tell university presidents and when I tell ADs, and this comes up a lot in the search firm world too, that I think is a major problem in college sports, is that schools don't hire university presidents because of sports, but schools sure do fire presidents because of sports. And that's a difficult thing when you come in there and recognize this is not going to be, this is going to be 5% of my time. This is not the most important part of my job, but if I screw this up, I will absolutely be kicked to the curb. And I think we can both think of examples all over the country where that's happened.
Hey, man, as always, Matt, great stuff. I have the newsletter. I subscribe to the newsletter. It's worth it. There's sometimes I don't have all the time to read through it, but I'll print it sometimes because I kill trees. And
Sure.
then I'll piece together the stories that you have. Great job, as always. Thanks for your time. Appreciate
you, brethren. Thank you. Take care.
Matt Brown, Extra Points with us.